This didn't make any sense to her. How did a melody that she had locked down over the summer, last summer, suddenly appear on Jennifer Lopez's album? This was something that really bothered.
Baby, you've probably heard folks talk about how Beyoncé and Jennifer Lopez made it big by leaving other artists behind. But what if they didn't just naturally climb to fame? What if they purposely stepped into a space that was originally meant for Mariah Carey? Not just by chance, but through clear, deliberate choices to take over what she started and cover the ground she left open. And this isn't just gossip going around, it looks like Mariah herself might be quietly pointing it out. So brace yourself, because what's coming next could get really serious.
Beyonce drunk in love?
I don't know. I love Beyonce, but I have.
Mariah just flew in from her own planet. I'm telling you, this is Mariah's.
My own planet?
Yes.
I do.
Yes, absolutely.
And I don't.
One thing's for sure, Mariah Carey completely ruled the music scene in the 90s. She wasn't just a voice on a track. She wrote her own songs, produced her music, and had full control over how she presented herself. That kind of power was rare, especially for women of color in the industry. Mariah brought her own vibe, stayed a bit mysterious, embraced her biracial identity, and mixed different music styles with ease. She didn't follow trends, she created them. If you remember, even Beyoncé used to speak about Mariah like she was on another level. She gave her the kind of praise reserved for true legends, saying Mariah was the reason she wanted to sing in the first place. It wasn't Whitney Houston or Aretha Franklin that Beyoncé constantly named, it was Mariah. Beyoncé once shared that hearing Vision of Love made her fall in love with music. She's never hidden the fact that Mariah was one of her biggest influences. If you go back and watch old videos or interviews, you'll see young Beyoncé clearly starstruck, talking about Mariah's voice and stage presence like a fan meeting her hero.
Carey's voice comes from God. You can hear the gospel in her voice. Very nice to see her in the church. The whole message in the video was just Vision of Love was one of the first songs I heard when I was a kid, where I heard all of these riffs. And I was like, how does she do that? In this little short amount of times, the amount of notes she could squeeze in that one little bar, 2 bars, was fascinating to me. And that's kind of when I started trying it. And it's something that I love to do in my music, but she completely...
Honey, I can't say for sure what went down between them, but something definitely shifted. One moment, Beyoncé was full of admiration for Mariah, and the next, that praise just faded. People started to suspect Beyoncé began seeing herself as the new star, maybe even one who had surpassed Mariah. And honestly, even with everything Mariah's done for music, she doesn't always get the same recognition as legends like Michael Jackson or Prince. She's celebrated for her vocals, yes, but the media often brushes her off as just a flashy diva who shows up every December in heels and a holiday dress. Meanwhile, Beyoncé seems to be working towards something much bigger, an image beyond just music. She's building a name as a cultural icon, almost like the female equivalent of Prince or MJ. And in that version of history, it seems like Mariah just isn't part of the story. Some people even believe Beyoncé and Jay-Z used their behind-the-scenes power to slowly shift attention away from Mariah, not by directly replacing her, but by guiding the spotlight elsewhere. That's how things often go in the entertainment world. The ones who know how to play the business game and form the right alliances usually climb faster, even if that means sidelining more vocally talented artists like Mariah. Then there's Jennifer Lopez. Around the same time, JLo's career took off fast. She's got presence, she's beautiful, and she has her own appeal. But let's be real, her singing isn't on Mariah's level. Still, she kept landing major roles, big brand deals, and eventually even the Super Bowl halftime show. While there's no direct proof that Beyoncé had anything to do with blocking Mariah, the tension between Mariah and JLo is much easier to trace. Back when Mariah was filming Glitter and her marriage to Tommy Mottola was crumbling, she had secured the rights to sample Yellow Magic Orchestra's 1978 track Firecracker for her song Loverboy. Out of nowhere, JLo released a track using the exact same sample, before Mariah's version had even been released. JLo, who had already gained fame from In Living Color, struggled to launch a music career due to her weak vocals. Broadway didn't work for her either, again because of her voice. That's where Tommy comes back into the picture. Not only was he Mariah's husband at the time, he also ran Sony, her label. Their relationship was falling apart and Mariah wanted out, both from the marriage and from Sony. But Tommy wasn't ready to let go. As a way to get back at her, he handed the Loverboy sample to JLo and rushed her version out before Mariah's. And yes, JLo was aware of the situation and still went ahead with it. Mariah caught on. In her memoir, The Meaning of Mariah Carey, she shared how a lot of the chaos around Glitter traced back to Tommy. He was upset over their breakup and her plans to leave Sony, and he used his influence to block her progress. When he heard what Mariah Carey's sample she was using, he had the company give it to another female artist. Mariah didn't say the name, but it was obvious who she meant. And if we're talking about Mariah avoiding names, no one can forget that moment. When asked about other female singers, she had kind words for Beyonce, but when the interviewer mentioned JLo, Mariah gave the iconic reply, "I don't know her." That line still lives on today. Later, in a 2002 interview with Larry King, he asked if Mariah had any issues with JLo, or if there was a rivalry. Mariah didn't hold back. She said there's no competition if the other person can't sing. That hit hard.
Rivalries, but I don't think she has anything to do with me. I mean, my whole thing is singing, writing
She's an
songs.
actress.
Yeah, and I've been doing this, my whole life. Singing is first and foremost. It's a God-given talent that I'm grateful.
Mariah didn't hold back when it came to taking shots at JLo possibly not singing her own tracks. In an interview with Talk Magazine, she mentioned she was only getting about 3 hours of sleep a night. So when she heard JLo claim she was sleeping 8 hours, Mariah couldn't resist taking a dig. She said, "If I had the luxury of not having to sing my own songs, darling, I'd do that too." And she wasn't joking. She meant exactly what she said. But this wasn't just Mariah being shady for no reason. Rumors about JLo not singing all her own parts have been around for a long time. Take her track I'm Real, which came out in September 2001. It was meant for her second album, but Ashanti later revealed she had already recorded the full song, vocals and all. She said she didn't even know why Irv Gotti, her label head at Murder Incorporate, ended up giving it to JLo. Apparently, JLo struggled to handle the vocals on her own, so they just kept Ashanti's voice in the final cut. If you really listen to I'm Real, you can actually hear Ashanti's voice in the background. And the surprising part? That track wasn't originally meant for Ashanti either. Irv Gotti later confirmed that Tommy Mottola, Mariah's ex, told him to give the song to JLo as a move against Mariah. They likely figured Ashanti wouldn't be okay with being involved directly, so they passed it through JLo instead. And this wasn't a one-time thing. Ashanti also wrote Ain't It Funny, another big hit for JLo. She came up with the lyrics, recorded the hook, and even added background vocals and ad-libs. By the time JLo came in, most of the work was already done. She just had to lay down the lead vocals, which was the easiest part.
How did that J.Lo record actually happen? You wrote the song for yourself, or you wrote it for J.Lo?
I wrote it for
JLo almost ended up with What's Love too. Fat Joe later said that the song, now a hit with Ashanti, was nearly given to JLo instead. And the wildest part? JLo allegedly knew the track already belonged to Ashanti, but didn't seem to mind. According to Joe, Irv Gotti and Ja Rule called him at 3 a.m., telling him to get to the studio. When he showed up at 4, they played What's Love and said, "This is for you and JLo. We want the Latinos on this." If that had happened, Ashanti's version might have never existed. And it wasn't an isolated case. Ashanti had already written and sung on multiple songs that ended up under JLo's name. She stayed silent for years. But the impact was real. Eventually, Ashanti spoke out. In an interview with Metro UK, she shared how painful it was not getting credit for her work. In music, where so much is filtered and polished, recognition isn't about ego, it's about truth. Hearing her own vocals used without mention hit hard. It took her 2 decades to speak up, but people eventually noticed. Fans and artists began acknowledging her contributions. She said it felt good to finally be seen, even if it came late. This is just one story. Many Black artists have faced similar situations, where their work was downplayed or taken so someone else could shine. JLo's name comes up a lot, but Beyonce has also faced accusations over the years about using other people's work without giving credit. Now there's buzz that Mariah Carey might finally tell her full story. No filters, maybe a new memoir, a documentary, or even a tell-all. If she does, people expect real names and real truths. So what do you think? Will she finally speak up? Let us know in the comments and don't forget to subscribe.